Chapter 24. Manchester was a cute village in the southwestern corner of Vermont, tucked equidistant between a few ski resorts and the nearly Appalachian Trail. It also happened to be the closest grocery store and home to several big retail outlets. Imogen decided to check out the Mountain Trekker first, which had outdoor gear she would need for winter, assuming Joe still needed her then. Once out of the shadow of the mountain and back within cell range, Imogen asked Siri to call her dad. "Hello, honey." "Hey, Dad. How's it going?" "Okay. Richard and his slice tanked it for the rest of the group, so we didn't win anything at the tournament. He really needs to get that rotator cuff fixed." Imogen laughed. "Yes, well, he'll never go under the knife. Besides, I think it was more likely the flasks you had hidden in your carts that lost you your edge." "Bah, everyone knows a little bourbon warms the body and relaxes the mind. Golf is a mental game, and it gives us an edge." "If you say so, Pop." She shook her head. "He would never change. Have you talked to your mom?" "Well, that was an abrupt change of subject." "And I guess no is your answer. I wish you two would stop fighting." She sighed audibly. "We aren't fighting. She'd have to listen to me to argue. She just criticizes me and then ignores me when I don't comply with her wishes." "She loves you." "I don't want to talk about Mom." "You never do." He gave a huff of breath, and she imagined him rolling his eyes at her as he continued. "So, to what do I owe the pleasure? I haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks." "It's been busy. Joe's doing well, and she's hobbling around more than she should, so I've been trying to limit her. She's stubborn." Imogen grinned. She loved that best about her fiery aunt. "It's actually really annoying because I've finally gotten the hang of these barn chores, and now she's messing up my flow." "Your flow, huh? Sounds impressive. I never pegged you for a farm girl." Imogen shook her head, then realized her dad couldn't see her. "Me either. It's awesome working outside in the fresh air, and while it gets messy, the repetition of the chores kind of relaxes me. Plus, the animals make me laugh. The other day, one of the goats was hopping around and didn't realize he had hay all over his head like a hat. When he stopped, his brother started eating it off him, and he looked so offended. I almost peed myself, it was so funny." "A hay hat. I guess I'll have to take your word for it, but I'm glad you're having fun." "I really am." "So, when do you think you'll be home?" "I'm going to stay through the winter," Imogen blurted, not realizing until that moment that she truly meant it. She wasn't ready to leave, and winter would be hard on Joe while she was rehabbing. It wouldn't make sense. "Winter is no picnic in Vermont, honey, especially since you can't just hunker down. You must go outside and still take care of the animals." Now it was Imogen's turn to roll her eyes. Like he'd ever worked on a farm in his life. The closest he got to livestock was when he took her on the boardwalk carousel. An outdoor person, he was not. His sister must have gotten all the outdoorsy genes in the family. "I get it, Dad. My friend Bailey says that it's the ice that's the biggest problem for the animals. I'm going shopping in town today to pick up some gear, so I'll be ready for the cold." The days were quickly turning, the wind brisk and biting at times. If this was a preview for what the winter months were like, she was a little nervous. She wouldn't admit that to her dad, though. The thought of leaving yet, with Joe still injured, and this unfinished situation with Fortune, made her feel uneasy. Besides, there was no rush to get back. She didn't have a job or an apartment. She was free to do anything and go anywhere. So, why not stay a little longer? "I'm headed into town. After I pick up some supplies, I was thinking I'd have coffee with a friend." "I love that you're making friends up there. I worry about you so far from home." "Aw, shucks, Dad, you old softy." "Stop that, young lady. You are not too big to put you over my knee." They both laughed out loud, knowing it would never happen. It was a threat he had given her whole life, but was too soft-hearted to follow through on. "Yes, sir." "So, these friends..." He trailed off. Imogen knew he was gearing up to tease her. "Any romantic prospects? Mountain men? Mountain women? Those nights sure get cold and lonely, I imagine." "Ew, stop, Dad, you're gross." He laughed maniacally, pleased with himself. "Well?" "No, of course not. I'm here to help Aunt Joe. Everyone in the village has been great." She thought of the one tall blonde woman and reconsidered. "Well, almost everyone." "Is someone giving you a problem?" "Not really. There's just this strange situation, and I think I put my foot in it." "Shocking." "Dad." Okay. What's so strange about this situation?" Imogen filled him in on Fortune and how he kept escaping and ended up finding her on the other side of the valley. It took almost the entire ride to town to fill him in. By the time she arrived at the shop, she'd parked her car and continued to explain. Well, that sounds like the horse and her just aren't a good fit. Does it have to be something nefarious? Not at all, and I really hope it's not. Not only for Fortune, because I can't imagine him being abused, but because it's Gabe's ex-girlfriend. Gabe is the neighbor, right? Right. He's a nice guy, and if his girlfriend was abusing a horse in his care, he would blame himself for not noticing. What does that mean? It means that you like him. Shocked, Imogen shouted, What? It absolutely does not. He's my friend. He's Aunt Jo's neighbor. That would be... She trailed off, unable to think of a word that best fit the situation. Well, it would be weird. Seems like there's a lot of weird going on up there. Must be something in the mountain spring water. Oh, you're hilarious. Just because I don't want him to be hurt doesn't mean I'm in love with him or something. Yeesh. The thought was preposterous. Sure, Gabe was nice, smart, and caring. Logically, he was handsome. Fine, he was a catch. But he was taken, or at the very least, in a complicated relationship. And her? She was only temporary. He'd be settling for a complicated, sassy, loud transient who would eventually leave him and make him regret his choices. She had a track record and had the same trouble committing to relationships as she did jobs. Who said anything about love, Imogen? You don't have to get married. I'm just saying, have a little fun. Excuse me, but I'm pretty sure my dad isn't supposed to say things like that. Yeah, well, get over it. You overthink everything. You can like someone and agree to keep things casual. Stop thinking and just have fun for once without wondering if you'll be suffocated and chained to them for life. All right, I'm going. I've had enough of this therapy session. I just called to fill you in and let you know I'm staying longer than I thought. You got it, kiddo. If you're still around in the spring, I'll come visit. I haven't seen my sister in ages, and now I'm curious about this setup she's got. You just want to meet my friends and cause mayhem. That too. Later, kid. Imogen disconnected the call and fell back against the seat, banging her head into the headrest a few times to knock the last 30 minutes out of her head. She loved her dad, she did, but he was incorrigible, always looking for drama and gossip. He'd fit right in with the old men at the coffee shop each morning, talking about the neighbors and getting involved in everyone's business more than any woman she'd ever met. She felt content with her decision to stay the winter. It was only 3 more months, and there was something about the holidays in the mountains that felt like a Hallmark movie come to life. Maybe she'd have some kind of epiphany and find herself like the heroines in those sappy films, only she'd do it without falling for a sexy lumberjack selling Christmas trees. Strong women didn't need men to complete them, after all.